Chapter 3, Basic. Over the last 3 months, you've been doing some very intensive training. A little bit of a time skip, yes. For the last 3 months, you've been training incredibly hard, doing basic training at Fort Relic. Fort Relic basically was not put together until you and a few of the other, you could say soldiers in training, that helped set up additional tents, additional barracks for everyone. But today is the last day of your training. You're tired. You woke up incredibly early. And now you have to do the tests. Whereas a majority of your training has been physical training, there has been some mental training stuff that is going on. Stuff along the lines of just knowing what it is to be a soldier and what you needed to do to be a soldier. It's time for the tests. You've been studying for it. You've been mentally prepared as best as you can for this test. But you sit down at the desk with your writing implement, well aware of what you're about to get into. Can this test be open book? To your horror, it is neither open book, nor does it have any true or false questions, aside from one. And it's the first question. A question that you already knew the answer to prior to walking into this building. A question that you already knew was going to be on this test prior to walking into this room. Just a simple, I understand checkbox that says, I understand that failing this quiz will result in a repeat of basic training. Multiple failures will result in criminal prosecution. There's a checkbox here allowing you to say that you agree to these terms and conditions. There is no other option. What kind of sentencing will you expect? Knowing that some of the people who are, in this army are conscripts or drafted, they realize that some people will think that it's smart to go ahead and try and fail out of basic enough times that they can just never go to war. And in order to get around that very specific issue, the higher-ups in the military decided to make it so it was a criminal offense to repeatedly, intentionally fail the basic training. Looks like a majority of people say that they checked the box. Your mind is swimming. You basically haven't slept well for the past 3 months. Beyond just intense physical labor and the amount of sleep that you are allowed to get, and the amount of time that you have to eat, which is done for some reason in complete silence, barring punishment, you've been just absolutely ragged from the amount of work. Because of this, your mind is not really allowing you to focus all that well. All you can remember is just fleeting moments from your time here at boot camp. A number of times that you got yelled at for not being able to keep up, the building the base itself. Your mind wanders a bit more while you're attempting to actually read the test. And you remember your initial meeting with your drill sergeant. Your initial meeting was fairly short. You were fortunate enough to have the same barracks as Abe, which means that for the majority or all of your boot camp training, you were able to spend it with Abe. Additionally, you gained the trust and the knowledge of another soldier named Greg. This is your first time meeting him. Which one is Greg? Greg is the short one on the very end. Abe is the closest one with the messed up ear. The drill sergeant walked up to the three of you as you stood at your best attention as you could manage, and walked up to Abe initially. The drill sergeant said, "You will learn that you hate me by the end of this trial. By the time I am done molding you into the kind of soldier you need to be, you will hate me. And you will hate me this entire time. But by the time I am done with you, by the time that you are sent out into the field, you will thank me. You will thank everything that there is in this life that I taught you the things that I taught you. It will save your life. I will be hard on you. I will be unforgiving. But these are to save not only your life, but the life of those men and women around you, and the nations of the council. You are a representative of all 4 nations of the council. It does not matter which nation you came from. I do not care. It does not fucking matter to me. Do you understand? He walks up to Greg. He says, "Soldier, what the hell's happened to you?" Greg says, I fell out of a tree, sir, and I broke my tail." "Bullshit! Looks like you've been in a fight. What's wrong with you?" "Well, I was on my way with, my friend here, Bree, and we were on our way here, and we were attacked by pirates." "Pirates, you say?" "I meant Abe, yes, sorry. Pirates, you say?" "Sorry. And you attempted to fight them. How many were there?" Entire ship's full with a bear." "Soldier, I think you're a fucking idiot. You know that? If I threw you into a barrel of tits, you'd come out sucking your thumb. The fuck is wrong with you? And stand up straight. When you're tall, I can fucking see you. Do you understand me?" He turns to you. "Did you also try and fight these pirates, son?" Who you'll later learn to be named Greg has already started crying next to you. It seems like that he was probably not given the choice to join or not. You say, "No, sir! And don't call me a son, fucker!" He looks at you in amazement. "The fuck did you just call me, soldier? I thought we only had one village idiot, but it looks like they sent both from your town, didn't they? What's with the scarf? You a pretty little girl? You think you can wear that shit here?" "Prettier than you, sir, yes, sir," you say, with confidence. "So your hero boy here saved your scarf and you want to keep it? Make a deal. If you wake up an hour early before everyone else and yell into the mirror for an hour as the alarm clock for the rest of your platoon, I will let you keep that. But you must yell every morning into the mirror that you are a pretty little girl." Chad agrees to this. He turns to Greg, who is now full on sniveling, and looks him straight in the eye. "Son, you need to get all your shit, put it in a bag, and get it together. You think you could cry here? What's her name, soldier?" "It's Greg. I don't really want to be here." "Oh, it's Greg, is it?" "Too fucking bad. You're in the army now, son. Get your shit together." Backing away from your memories, you look at the second question on the test. It says, "How many nations are part of the council?" You do remember the morning ritual of you waking up before anyone else to just yell at yourself in the mirror as loud as you can, "I'm a pretty girl!" for an hour. This did not make you very popular with your platoon. Whereas you were able to work through situations where maybe things weren't the best for you. Maybe you had to yell until your voice became hoarse. You, in the very least, understood that there were certain compromises needed to be made. Whereas Greg, or Hero Boy, as he was eventually known, had some issues with it. Fairly consistently, he would forget to do things, or screw up, or not talk back, but forget a regulation here or there. And eventually, that ended up being a situation where you woke up one morning for your morning call after yelling at yourself in the mirror for a morning, or an hour. And all of you are standing in line waiting for the drill sergeant to show up when he says, "Shit. Guys, I forgot my bag. Guys, if I get yelled at again, I'm gonna get in real big trouble this time." Now, you brought yours, and Abe brought his, but Greg absolutely forgot his. Repeated failures can result in harsher punishment. Punishment being a interesting term. When in actuality, punishment is not allowed, whereas arbitrary and pointless decision-making is more of the norm. You won't be ever punished to do something. However, a sergeant might forget where he put something, or tell you to gather all of the nearby leaves, or move all of the sticks to right next to your platoon base, or do 100 push-ups. You know you're not going to have enough time to get back to your where you're supposed to go. You attempted to transform into a bag using your power of shapeshifting. You try and ask Abe if you can look convincingly like a bag. He says no. You realize that there's another problem with this plan. If you were a bag, then that would mean that you hadn't shown up for drill, which would be bad. This plan probably won't work. You're going to have to think of something else. You ask Abe to give him his bag since he's pissed Sarge off the least. Abe takes one look at Greg and realizes that at this point, not getting the entire platoon in trouble for not helping him out again is probably not good. So he ends up just giving Greg his bag and says, I'll take the hit this time, man, but, you know, make sure you bring it next time. Greg looks like he can cry. As he's about to cry, Abe goes, look, don't cry. He's just going to get even more mad if you start crying. You know that. Greg kind of sniffles and goes, yeah. Next question. If you found out a family member or close friend was committing a crime, what would you do? You understand that it is not only the responsibility of the combined forces of the council, of which you are a part of, to act as a military force, but also as a police force. The concept of police doesn't exist in this universe, as that it's redundant. So it looks like the winning answer is report them, parentheses, lie, / put down whatever to make the army happy, like turn them in, and tell a army superior about it, lying. So report them / turn them in would be the correct answer as far as the army is concerned. Which, those are the top two answers. Telling an army superior about it is a little bit out of the wheel well, but I feel like reporting them or turning them in would be what they would want from that answer. So I will accept that as a correct answer. One of the things about boot camp that a lot of people, or mice, do not know is that there's a thing called Firewatch. And Firewatch, quite possibly, is one of the hardest parts of being a soldier. You remember one such occasion. Firewatch is essentially sitting outside for approximately 2 hours, waiting for something to happen, making sure that nothing does happen, while all of the other people in your division, in your platoon, are sleeping. You are just kind of sitting there for hours. Just sitting. For hours. During one such occasion, you had a visitor approach you. It was another mouse. He came up to you with all the bravado that he could possibly muster. Say, soldier, what are you doing out here? Now, you don't recognize him, but that doesn't mean much. While every single platoon has its own selection of drill sergeants, this is not one of the ones that is part of your division, not part of your platoon. He looks at you as if you're doing something wrong by being on Firewatch. He says, soldier, are you supposed to be out here? I'm going to need you to turn around so that way I can go and speak to the drill sergeant from your... Who is your drill sergeant? I'm going to need to speak to your drill sergeant right now. You know that your drill sergeant is just inside the building. Denying the order of a drill sergeant can get you in major trouble. You decide to ask him what platoon he's from, what his name is, and what his rank is. He says, Platoon 7, and my name is none of your fucking business, soldier. You need to turn around right now and count to 100. Now, I need to go in and speak to your drill sergeant about your piss poor attitude. Chad is just sus and maul him. You tell him to show you his badge. He says, listen, I don't have time for that. I need to requisition some resources from you, from your platoon, tonight. So you begin to raise the alarm, and he just starts bolting. You find out later in the morning that there was some sort of bet between the drill sergeants that your platoon was actually fairly bad at the ability to, hold off people from getting into the platoon proper, and the drill sergeant from another division had challenged one of his privates to go ahead and break into your platoon's armory and steal some of your equipment as proof that you guys were incompetent. And not only were you praised by your drill sergeant for not fucking up, but you were given 1 week where you didn't have to actually yell at yourself in the mirror, which made everyone quite a bit happier and gave them quite a bit more sleep. You can still do it anyway if you'd like, but I mean, like, you're going to piss off all of your squad mates. You look at the next question on the quiz. It says, what is Firewatch? Sit outside and watch for suspicious activity is currently winning, so that's what we're going to put down. I would consider that the correct answer. Next question on the test says, how does the council's combined military force help the community? This is basically asking, why do you even have this job? Why are you even here? It keeps the member nations safe from outside threats as well as criminals inside the council's borders. It protects civilians from hostile threats and invaders, protecting the land from all threats, foreign and native. Those are the top 3. They all kind of have the same vibe, so I'm going to put that down as y'all's answer. The next question says, if you caught a fellow soldier committing a crime, what would you do? Confront them about it, and if necessary, report them / rat them out. Which I love that you've decided to say rat them out. You go ahead and jot that answer down. All things considered, your time in basic was fairly easy and fairly simplistic. Easy on the, like, you didn't get punished often thing. There was one occasion where you slept in a little bit and were forced to carry around buckets of rocks because your drill sergeant didn't know where he wanted them to be put. And so he just sort of had you run between the different platoons carrying buckets of rocks for a while. But by and large part, you were able to understand the flow of how things were supposed to go and didn't get in trouble all that often. One day, after an especially long training session where you were in a mock deer cabinet, where you were learning the basic positions of everyone involved, the gunner, the commander, the loader, and the driver, you ended up just being tired, just absolutely tired after your training, and ended up just passing out. And after passing out for the night, you just fell asleep. You ended up becoming a very light sleeper during this time, and during one such night, you woke up very late to hear some bizarre sounds coming from the rest of the platoon. Just quiet sounds. What appears to be a ghost begins shaking the end of your bed. You know it's not Abe, because you can see Abe right back there. You say, hey, sup, dude. And attempt to go back to sleep. And maybe kiss him? Kiss him and go to sleep are, like, at the same level. So we'll start with, hey, sup, dude. And then move into kiss him. The ghost, whose voice sounds suspiciously like Greg's, says, hey, Bree, I got in trouble for falling asleep at the at Firewatch, so drill sergeant said you're dead because you fell asleep, because if this was a real training If this is real action, then you would have been shot and killed because I snuck up on you, and so now I'm dead, I guess. So I have to pretend to be a ghost and shake everyone's cot. I'm really sorry about this. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to what I was doing. Sleep well. Sorry. And he continues to wander around the rest of the platoon hall, just making moaning sounds, going woo, 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 and shaking everyone else's cots and pissing them right the fuck off. In the armored cavalry, the positions on a deer tank are... You can't pee on the test. How do you even control a deer? The deer are trained specifically for this task to be mobile gun platforms for the combined military forces. They're not used in local operations. Usually on a local setting there will be, a sheriff. In smaller towns, it's just what you grew up with, having one constable or sheriff in the town. But when you get into major cities with, hundreds of people that live there rather than just, a couple dozen, you have maybe a small platoon that acts as a police force for the town. The deer armored divisions are never deployed in towns because it's absolutely excessive to have an tank cannon available to solve basic problems. Does this matter on the test? No, I'm just letting you know some lore stuff. Deer are used in the same way that tanks are used in modern day times. I won't test you on that piece of information I just gave you. Driver, gunner, and commander, it seems like the top answer by a decent amount. So let's put down driver, gunner, and commander. Chad is now yelling loader. And then what ends up being a fortunately fairly short test. There's one remaining question. Would you follow orders even if they went against regulation, if given by a superior officer? One thing that your drill sergeant said at one point was, without a nation, there are no civilians. Without the military, there is no nation. To put into line the idea of what your priorities should be on any given decision. The idea being that without a nation, you don't have civilians, you have refugees, and without a military, there's no way for the nation to defend itself and for there to be civilians. So the military is in subservience to the civilians, which are, in subservience to the nation, and the nation is in subservience to the civilians. So the top answer right now is nope, unless if it was vital to immediate survival, followed by depends on the context, and no. I feel like those are all kind of the same thing. So that would be you guys' answer on that one. And then last question on the quiz is, if given an option, what would be your preferred position based on aptitude for your job on a armored cavalry position? Basically, like, if you did well in your physical training, in your marksmanship, which you did, and during this test, what position would you guys like to have on a armored cavalry, aka a deer? Looks like medic has a pretty high amount of people that said that, followed by lookout. So you put down medic. With that, you finished out your test, and after a few days, you were given the results of your test. It turns out that you did incredibly well, and that you somehow managed to get every single question right to some degree, in the very least. This is impressive, and generally speaking, despite all the bluster, your drill sergeant did give you commendations for your work. Yeah, somehow you guys actually got the right answer to all of that. I hope you enjoyed today. I hope you enjoyed this. Next session, you're moving on out.